going to call to order the January 11th meeting of the Berlin Cultural Council at 7:31 p.m. And open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice will be recorded. Okay, so I guess the first, well, there are cookies. I have more cookies than I had.
First and foremost.
A surety on quorum, but fortunately we have both. First order of business is the minutes from last meeting. Any commentary on that?
I actually did want to mention something. A point that was brought up with discussing some of the loans to the, I think it was one of the magician gentlemen. A suggestion was brought up about like the kids just kind of being there for the magician and stuff, and be it this may not matter at all, but you know, when I was a kid and from what I've seen, a lot of the kids go just to be with their friends before, during, and a while after. So I don't know if that, you know, really changes anything much, but I feel like those kinds of situations, you get quite a lot of time for the parents to relax as well as the kids to just hang out and stuff.
Okay.
So just a bit of a wild suggestion, I know, but.
So hold on. I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure. I
So if I am correct, we said that we were going to lower the funding for that gentleman.
yeah. Yeah. So I think that one was. Yeah, hold on, I have. Oops. Yeah, so that one we gave 375 of the 450. So all of that stuff we are locked into.
Right. I'm just thinking for maybe
In
future.
future, keep that in mind when.
I'm thinking that for all of them, you know, for some of like the movie nights, you know, when all the kids are there, a lot of them are obviously friends. They're probably going to stay for a while before and a while after, and you know, if we can give some relaxed time to parents as well as get kids in the community together, I think that's more of an incentive to give them a little bit more money.
Okay.
Just, you know, for extra things if they needed snacks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we can't,
Yeah, unfortunately,
Can't do
food
food
is
is
one.
against the
Food's not
rules.
specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so I'm just trying to, you know, understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
Are you saying that to provide some kind of like supervision by the performer for the kids before and after, so the parents?
I thought the point was more to consider that if I'm understanding correctly, that the congregating of children at those events is providing a kind of greater service than the event itself.
Okay, so in terms of it's more of a camaraderie, you know, go with your friends type thing, okay.
Yeah, so I think if I'm understanding correctly, your point is that kind of event has a added value beyond what we were considering of the event itself.
It was more, I could have heard it wrong and understood it wrong, but it sounded more like they were looking at it as a direct, there's nothing here before, there's the event, and then everybody goes home. You know? That's what it sounded like to me personally.
Yeah.
But I was just putting out the suggestion
Yeah.
that it's definitely not, like, of course I shouldn't say definitely, it's most likely not going to be as clean and cut as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I've never been to one of those, but I've been to the magician that we had for years, and the families were there before and after, as well as, I don't remember what the performer did, probably. I don't remember seeing the performer afterwards, or mingling before, but I haven't been to a lot of the events, I'll have to say.
I mean, be it
I think just the biggest problem, though, is just that our budget is going to
Right.
continue to, and I'm kind of guessing with the recent reports on the governor's decrease for the next budget that has a good chance of hitting us.
Yeah, I would think so.
But
It's getting too good to be true for a while.
yeah. But any comments on the minutes themselves from last
I'm trying
meeting?
to find them, sorry. I know I read them, and I didn't have any questions about them. No. So I'm gonna move that we accept them as written, so I
Okay.
can't find them.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I second that.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Okay. So the minutes for last meeting are approved.
I just found them.
I pulled them up as my start for today's minutes. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is our report for the town report, which I apologize. I sent an updated one because usually when I'm working on them, I just pull up the file from last year and see what things I've done, and then I realized when I decided, hey, I should proofread these again before a meeting, that wait a minute, that paragraph and that paragraph are the same. So I deleted the one from last year. But any comments, concerns, suggestions?
I think it sums it up. Do you want to look at them again real quick, Chris? I can give you my computer.
I gave it a look earlier,
Okay.
a little bit before
Yeah.
the actual meeting started, so it should be
Okay.
alright.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, pretty much kind of same format every year, just what the grants have been, and looking for more people. And yeah, when I took over as chair was right during the pandemic, so I kind of tend to lead with how
How things were and how things
yeah,
to normal.
the general state of things. And I threw in a little thank you for someone helping with the lights last time. And yeah, so well, for filming in general, but I felt that was a worthy inclusion, and that's probably helpful to have the bit about our change in membership. I felt a good segue to also
Yeah.
say that.
I think there's a plug in there every year.
Yeah, well,
As long as I
there's
can
always
remember.
a plug for getting more members, but I figured I'd add a little urgency to that this year.
Yeah.
Not that I don't know how many people read them, but doesn't hurt
Doesn't
to.
hurt to keep looking, keep
Okay.
asking. Do you know if, I haven't looked, I thought of it when I was reading these today, if we're listed as needing members, or can we not do that until your terms are officially up?
I don't think we're listed. I mean, the thing is, with the town, I'm not sure that it's really set for a set number of like, I'm not sure that there's any, like, bylaw that limits the members to 5. I just think we've never had more. That's actually one of the things that I sometimes debate about, trying to poke the town administrator about the fact that on the town level, we keep getting appointed to 1 year, which is kind of silly given on the state level. It's to 3 years, and the max 6 at a time, which would getting a switch to having it appointed for 3 years would probably be helpful for certain things, like not automatically assuming everyone's.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a reason for it.
Well, I imagine the reason probably is just no one's put the effort into it.
No, they just changed it recently, and they changed the switchover time recently.
Yeah. But I mean, most other committees are, appointed for like 3-year terms or something, so I think the fact that ours is 1 year is, I imagine, probably an oversight
Yeah,
of,
no, you're right, I forgot about
function.
that part. Yeah,
But-
I just assumed it was everybody.
I think, I mean, there may be some others that are annual, but most of the ones I pay any level of attention to.
Okay, so can I make a motion that we accept the annual report as written?
You can? Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the report as written?
Aye.
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 Okay, the report is approved. I can put that. I take it you didn't find any superfluous British spelling that I neglected to?
No, the only thing that was jumping out was the spelling of Karen's name, and I know it's an unusual name, so I know you probably double checked.
Yeah,
Even though it was underlined in red on my computer.
yeah. No, I did do that. Okay, so the next item on the agenda was our web page. So I was looking at that a couple of times over the past week or so. So yeah, so it seems, I mean, on the front page of it, it has, the members, which that can get updated.
Where are you, MJ? Because I'm going to go the same place.
So just the town of Berlin side, and then, government.
Okay, and then can that go to cultural council? Okay.
Yeah.
So the very first page that says cultural council.
Yeah,
First thing saying at the BCC, we begin preparing for the grant cycle.
yeah.
That one.
So yeah, so this is, hold on, I got it.
You giving me a better side?
Yeah, I think we're, so yeah, so, obviously, change, update the memberships, and so the problem that we ran into this year was we haven't changed the guidelines on the site for ages. Because of the site that we use for the grants, I was kind of focused more on updating that, and so we had that one from the drama department at the high school, and so have to update the criteria to remove references to in-person or not in-person.
The Zoom.
Well, no, the written applications. That
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
the applications,
'Cause
we
we-
used to
we-
get paper.
so yeah, so we have to get that updated, and any forms of the count. The other thing that the web page has is outdated lists of ones of grants that we approved before. So that was last updated back in 2020. So kind of. So I think we do on the webpage, we need the updated guidelines. Do we want to have an updated list of programs we've approved?
Yeah, I think it should be, so that people
Yeah.
are up to date and seeing, especially applicants,
Yeah,
they would have a list, seeing what was there so that they're not applying with a very similar program.
yeah. So do we want to have that go back for like what we just approved? Do we want to have it mention a few years? Like, how would we?
Good question.
And then the other kind of question is whether there is anything else we would want to have on the web page.
Yeah, I saw a lot of things that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
Um,
Because we don't necessarily need anything else on the page, but since,
on this page, but there's other pages attached to it
yeah,
that there's a lot of misinformation.
yeah,
I think this page is fine. I'm going to read it again.
yeah. I mean, the question being whether, so we need to fix the attached pages, but whether we want to have any other attached pages or additional information, or whether the effort is just kind of strictly to fix the errors and leave the content the same.
So, if you don't mind me suggesting, this is like to kind of entice people to join, right? And
Well-
also, of course, spread information on what it is. But
To join, to have, so mainly it's kind of more, I think, to have the information on the grant program itself, so people know what the Cultural Council does and that they can apply for grants. You know, a lot of it is,
Okay.
you know, people who are in the arts community have been applying for, you know, most people who are applying for grants already know about it. It's an annual thing, they keep applying, so, you know, it's not something where we're necessarily, this is, you know, the first source of information about what we do, but it is, for some people, potentially the source of information for what we do. So I think it's mainly in terms of people wanting to apply for programs, but also, you know, I guess people in town in general knowing also that we're funding programs.
So, could we potentially add a extension to explain what we have done, like the grants that we have
Yeah, well-
fully completed, and the ones that, you know, are around town that are well known?
Yeah, well, that's the
Yeah,
thing. So like
there is-
we had a page, you know,
Right.
that didn't get updated in a few years on what grants we had like that here. So that's, you know, that's a question. Do we want to, you know, have just the past year's grants? Do we want to, you know, go, you know, have it go back, you know, 3 or 4 years and, you know, list all the grants we've done since, you know, 2020 or something?
Yeah, I wouldn't say more than 3 years would really be necessary.
So say
Because
that,
with us, when we get to that 3-year, it's something that we question and say, do we want to let this particular thing rest for a while and then have somebody new come in?
yeah,
I know we've discussed that with certain grants, because they were repetitive.
yeah. So have it updated to say have FY22 through FY24.
Yeah, I think 3 years is adequate.
Yeah,
We don't get a lot of the same, but we've gotten enough in the last
yeah,
6 years or so.
yeah. I mean, a lot of the library ones are kind of have the same people
Mhm.
involved. But
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to show what the money's gone to for a period of time.
okay, so updating the guidelines on what applications are, or what, updating the forms
Yeah, the
and,
forms, I think we just have to
Yeah.
really just put the link to the Cultural Council site where because
Yeah.
they have to use that site in its entirety, so you might as well just link them right to it, and
That would
Yeah.
probably make it really nice and easy.
it would
Yeah.
be. So on that page,
so like the local guidelines just got that to basically direct them to the
yeah, you probably could just remove that whole
Yeah.
profile page.
Well, you do want to just give it like a quick
definition of what specifically the link is. Like just maybe a sentence just explaining this is where you will
Yeah.
assign, your thing.
Yeah,
Or change it to how to apply for a grant.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
ridiculously simple, nice and
Yeah.
easy to read. Yeah.
So instead of program forms, do how to apply for a grant, and then
Yeah.
just say, give the link.
Okay.
Because that site has everything they're gonna have to do anyway. And that gets rid of, where did I see that? Where did I see that? Yeah, and that gets rid of that application. Open guidelines, wait a minute, there was something that was, here we go. If you, in program forms,
Yeah,
okay, there's a section that says local guidelines,
yeah,
and I clicked on that, and that was something that had a lot of information that really needed to be changed.
yeah,
But I think it's all covered if they just go to the
Yeah.
MCC site. So by just doing what we just said, take out programs, forms page, change it to how to apply for a grant,
yeah.
give them the link, and then that link would go with that, it would be gone with that
Yeah.
information anyway. So we wouldn't have to worry about it. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, yeah, so.
But I wrote plenty of notes.
So yeah, so instead of like the tabs on the left where it's local guidelines, program forms, just do it to one that's how to apply with, little couple sentences and
Yeah.
link, and then programs awarded have the last 3 years.
Yeah, let's
And
see what we
then-
got.
I think pretty much,
Yeah, this one goes back to right before COVID, I believe.
yeah,
I think this one goes back, yeah, it goes back maybe 4 years. I think this one was the year that my husband sat in for a year.
yeah,
Well, I had to take the year off. So I remember the discussion of some of these. Oh, there's another place on the website, on the town page. If you go back to, I guess, the home page.
yeah,
And I didn't realize this until it came up with with the AgCom, with the garden. There's all those bubbles there, or all those
Yeah.
buttons. And if you hit on forms and documents, if you scroll down, there is Cultural Council, and there's a link. So that's gonna have to be taken out, and just a
okay,
link to the MCC site.
okay,
Because if you click on the grant application, there's the old application,
yeah,
and that's
so,
probably
so
where-
would we want to get them to switch that to be a link to our how to apply page, or,
That's a good idea,
okay,
yeah.
what's this pass application? I don't even know what that is.
I
Field
think
trip grant.
it's for field trips, I think. Yeah, it's a field trip application.
Do we do anything with?
We did a long time ago. I remember Tohonto had a trip into Boston to see something.
And what role did the cultural council play in?
We granted the money for
Ah.
the,
Okay, so
because you can pay for the transportation and that kind of stuff.
so essentially it was just another program, but of a different color.
Yeah, but because it's school-related and leaving the building,
Yeah,
they had to have a different application, the
Yeah.
field trip application. I don't know if they do that anymore, if if it's a separate, I mean, I know you can still apply for that kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know if there's a separate application for it.
Yeah, because that's not something I'm aware of in my time.
Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, yeah, and our program form things also include the pass application and the reimbursement form. So we,
Yeah, and you can get all that right on, the reimbursement form, you can link to the page, but not the form itself
okay.
on the MCC site.
Okay. Would we want to keep that though as like on the how to apply page? Would we want to have the reimbursement as like a separate link on there, or would we want to? So like when we get rid of program forms and we redo this to be a how to apply page, would we want to have a link to the program and then a link to the reimbursement form page as a separate thing?
Probably.
Hmm.
If you don't. That sounds.
Good question. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have it. It's
Yeah.
probably not really necessary, but it is helpful, I guess, if you're
Yeah.
to the exact page, because I had to search around for it, and
Yeah.
it's in a funny place. It lists the types of reimbursement, and and as you're looking through the sections, there is a link, like in the very first section, that of course I totally went right over, that you could hit, and it would take you to the reimbursement form, because a lot of the councils have moved to paying the grant right away.
Yeah.
And then they have to follow up at the end with all the proof that it was done, and then if it wasn't done to the satisfaction of the council, then you have to try and get the money back.
Yeah.
Which, who wants to be in that position? I don't understand why you would do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of towns view it as easier, but to just have that, but regardless of whether it be easier or not, the town of Berlin is never gonna go for paying for
Something.
anything not before it's happened.
Right,
So
yeah, I forgot about that point. Yes, you're right.
yeah, but we could make instead, we could be how to apply / how to get reimbursed, and we could do a link, and we could even have a little blurb that says that makes a point of saying that we're not a town that does it that way, that, you know,
Mhm.
because I'm thinking that way too. It's if someone is using this page as a source of information, that maybe, they've applied, they've gotten the grant, and then they're going back to like do reimbursement, and so maybe it's easier if they can, kind of just get directly to reimbursement without wading through the rest of the MCC site.
It does allow also for partial, as people move through the process, maybe, getting things that they need for their performance, they can apply for partial reimbursement. Nobody ever has, but it's something that it would be allowed in Berlin, because they have to give receipts
Yeah.
and show that they have done things towards the grant to get a partial reimbursement. It's right on the
Yeah.
sheet, but I've never had to process any paperwork for that.
Yeah, I mean, we could put it in, a sentence or two on that.
Yeah.
So get well, we should figure out whether that field trip thing still exists or not.
Oh, yeah, I just
Well,
tried
we
to
don't need
search
to
that.
this second, but if it doesn't, we can remove that bit of it, but so yeah, so we get a link to how to apply, link to how to get reimbursed, the appropriate descriptions of those activities, and then the grants for the past 3 years. Anything else we want to consider on the page? Don't think we really need to have all that much in it. I mean, I would perhaps make the front page explain a little bit more about what we do than it does now, because it's, you know, it starts with at the BCC we're preparing for grant cycle, blah blah blah. That maybe it should kind of explain that we exist to do these grants instead of making kind of the assumption that
There
people.
was some good stuff on that link off of the page I was telling you about. Let me go back to it. I can't find anything about the field trips real quick. There's just so much information on this website. You
Yeah.
can go everywhere on it. And I'm not, even in the search bar, it's not, field trip stuff isn't coming up. Maybe I should call the pass application, but let's go back to Town of Berlin. So it was on,
We can always shoot Hanukkah a quick email too to just ask if that is something that still exists or
oh,
whether it went by the wayside.
and it's just the same. Okay, so it was on the program forms page.
Okay.
If you click on that link that says local guidelines,
Yeah, and that just goes back to.
there's a bunch of good information in there that I think you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, so that could be kind of some of that moved to the front and then just.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of this that could just be totally removed from this page, but the listing of the town guidelines and examples of what we look for in a grant.
Yeah,
You know, about serving a wide,
yeah,
diverse population, all age groups,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. So it's spelled out better
yeah.
there.
Okay. So yeah, I think that gives a good start to that. I guess I don't even know who is webmaster at this point. That's
No, I
that's
don't know.
another reason.
Maybe Max.
I
Max, do you know who the webmaster is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
We're on the town website, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna look right now.
that's honestly another reason why I've kind of, for little things, just kind of not updated, because I've just been like, okay, who do I have to bother to change this? Because
Yeah, this is one thing I've never dealt with.
but gives me some homework to do.
I'll be up all night.
The upside too about switching to having a link to the MCC site will be hopefully that will avoid the issue of, hey, it's due on this date of this year and having to remember each year to, or
Yeah.
not remember, and hope
Let-
people get the point.
Let them do the work, right?
But,
Yeah, they're not listed, the webmaster is not listed in the directory. I'm going through that again.
yeah. I can always talk to, what's the name of the new administrative assistant, Dee?
Yeah, D.
See what the actual procedure is for going about all of this. And always felt like trying to change picayune little things, like, you know, year dates or whatever. It's like, I don't want to bother anyone,
But you have to, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
We've been on the other side of this and know how annoying it is when you go to a website, it hasn't been
Yeah.
updated for ages. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
this was a big help. Everybody wants you to go to the website, but then you go there and it's not,
yeah,
not updated. Yeah, I'm not finding anything that
yeah. I can,
tells us who the go-to person is.
yeah. Oh, I can reach out on that.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
She'll get right back to you.
Yeah. So, anything else on the website we want to discuss, or have we,
Looking around.
I mean, it's also an evolving thing that, you know, we don't have to, or we can make further changes after we make these changes too.
Yeah, yeah, at least this will be a good start to get us back to where we should be. And then once you see it in print, that's when we'll find everything.
Yeah.
that we need to fix.
Yeah. Okay, so then the other item on the agenda was community survey. So last year we kind of, so every year we have to do some form of community survey in order to, you know what the town's priorities are and such with grant funding. It used to be an every three year thing, and at some point we realized that it switched to every year, and we had missed the boat on making that kind of switch. So what we had done this past time, and I think the previous time, was we had done a survey monkey, used that site to do a survey. But the problem we found with that was doing it on their free version would only let us ask 10 questions and only let us look at 10 responses. So we, I think, got 17 responses, but only were able to look at the first 10 or so.
Wow.
We do have administrative fees that we are allowed by law to use if it is decided that we'd like to upgrade
Yeah,
and be able to do SurveyMonkey that we'd be able to look at all 17 responses. But more than 17 people go to these things, and I'd love to be able to have the people who are sponsoring these events involved in some way and helping with
yeah,
the survey, like the library. If somebody's there and they could give out some kind of generic slip that
Yeah.
says, did you enjoy this program? A couple of questions that could get
Yeah.
back to us, suggestions for kind of like what the SurveyMonkey already did. But
Yeah.
we've got a lot of library programs that we could tap into, and I don't know, we could look and see some of the others if we'd be able to get information directly from the people who attend.
yeah. I was looking earlier at what we had for questions this last time. So I think it ended up like we originally had like 11 questions, and then Jess had said we could only do 10, and I forget which one I cut off. Made at that point an executive decision on removing one of them. But so in our last time, or our aim for questions, we had, do you know how the Berlin Cultural Council uses money from state and town to fund grants to bring blah 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 blah? Have you or a member of your household attended a performance not by students at Berlin Memorial School? Then same question about the library, same question about Berlin Seniors of Council of Aging, the 1870 19 Carter, whether anyone attended such events from that another town's cultural council did. I think question, please tell us which events you or members of your household enjoyed. Then demographics, asking if there were any people in the household under 18 or over 65, and asking what kind of events people would be interested in attending. So if we did have something physical at events, would we want to have these general questions and a question about the performance, or would we want to have just like a couple questions about the performance itself?
I think we'd need to have general questions because we need the feedback as to
Yeah.
how do they know that a wide variety of events are taken care of under this grant money. So some general questions, just, are you aware of,
Yeah.
the funding, some question around funding, and how many have you gone to any of these events before?
Yeah.
And then also offering suggestions at the end. You always
Yeah.
have to do the, what would you like to see us support?
Well, I mean, would we want to essentially take the questions we were trying last year, add one or two about whatever specific performance they're getting this?
You probably could make a general question about the performance that would fit.
Yeah. But I mean, do we want to have these questions, then one, asking, for feedback on whatever performance you've just attended and received this
Yeah.
annoying survey at?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
instead of the specific one for the event, just
Yeah.
that general question.
But would we want to have that be our method instead of trying to have this survey out in general, post on Facebook? Hey, would we want to take this, add that question, and try to get this to be handed out at as many performances as we could?
Yeah, I think it might work better for us because, how many people there's 3,000 plus people in this town and we got 17 responses. That's not a
Yeah.
real good feedback for us, but you take it to the actual event when people are there and you're going to get more,
Yeah.
is my guess. People will do it right then and there, but they're not going to go. And a
Yeah.
lot of people aren't, where was it sent out? Berlin Neighbors Connect?
That's probably it. I kind of dropped
And
the ball.
A lot of people
I had-
aren't on that. I stay away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Probably for the better.
Hmm?
Probably for the better.
It can be fun sometimes.
Well, yeah, I do look at it every once in a while, but I never
Yeah.
respond. I don't want to get involved. But if you think about it, we got 3 senior programs
Yeah.
that Judy would more than likely, she usually goes to those events, right?
Yeah, I presume so.
Yeah, so she'd be able to handle that there. We've got the library with
Yeah.
about 6 events. And then, then there's a smattering of other things that we should be able to get a pretty decent amount of. And we can duplicate things here
Yeah,
once we decide on the format.
yeah.
I know we're trying to do paperless, but I find people,
Yeah, no, I
Still
mean,
will do
I'd
that.
be happy to try focusing more on the paper. I mean, I had meant to, this past year, get some printed copies and have it at the town meeting, and then that didn't work out, which was probably for the better, because then I needed to actually speak at town meeting. So it's probably good that I wasn't trying to wear both hats, as it were. But yeah, no, I think that would be a good method.
it's worth a try.
Yeah.
We've tried the SurveyMonkey at least twice already,
Yeah,
and we haven't gotten a lot of good feedback.
yeah.
So do we want to try and do that at a meeting in another month or so?
Yeah,
Because the programs should be starting. Now, Link would be another one that would be probably pretty easy to get a feedback on from the teachers who participated.
yeah.
But if we could get it together, when's first? I know there's at least 3 before June, because I had to do the
Yeah.
thing with where the money was gonna come from. Oh, here they are. Yeah, so we've got Link, their thing is in the spring. The musical baseball is in March. This is there. I'm missing a page, there it is. Oh, there it is. There's one in February, the Copper Bookmark.
Yeah. I'm not even
Senior
sure
watch
we
party.
need another meeting. I mean, we're happy to go with the questions we had last year with just, an additional one about tailored to asking about the event itself. I mean, let me, forward this email back to you, Deborah. Yeah, so with the addition of a question about any feedback on the performance itself that they're getting the question at, is there anything additional you would think we ought to ask?
So, the only, probably because I'm skimming through these questions, but where you have the actual did you enjoy the event? General question should be at the top.
Yeah.
To give off the appearance that is directly from the place. That way, the people, when they're doing it, they read that, and then they go into the council stuff. So they read it for the event, and then they go into the actual council. That's just honestly it when I read these.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's smart, I like that.
Thank you.
yeah. So would we want to have it like before even this little blurb about what the questions are? Because we could do that. We could have, feedback about the performance, then that little couple lines, then the other questions, or we could do the blurb.
Do these questions have to be after the blurb?
Well, the blurb was just to explain why the hell we're asking
Right.
these questions to begin with, so.
I believe, and you're welcome to argue this, but I believe that it should probably actually be at the bottom.
Okay.
Because when they're reading the questions, they're reading the small, looks like a sentence of text. They're
Yeah,
a lot more likely to, at least, I'm going from my father here.
okay.
He works with the boilers and stuff, so he's gonna read the sentence a lot more likely than the blurb of text. And I've met, I've been around Berlin quite a bit, and we got a lot more boiler workers than we do librarians,
No, that's an
I don't
excellent.
mean to be rude about it, but
No.
I totally agree with you,
Thank
because
you.
in my, I do the garden, and you have the
Right.
rules and regulations, and I have tried to make them so, bulleted out that, so people actually read them, and they don't.
I mean,
You
even myself.
lose them after the first sentence.
Even myself, like I catch myself sometimes, like when I'm reading books, I look at the dialogue, and if it's a paragraph of dialogue, I'm gonna skim through it rather than actually read it.
Yeah.
And that sometimes it's just a quicker to
Yeah.
probably put the blurb at the bottom.
Yeah, no, your reasoning is quite sound. I yield to that point of view. So we would have a new question about how you like this event or what feedback on this event. These other questions that we had, fixing the fact that number 3 had years instead of year, and then switch the blurb to be at the bottom of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
It's worth a try,
Yeah.
and make it a half sheet.
Yeah.
We will have to have supply pencils or something.
Yeah.
Those tiny ones you get at the bank. Those would be perfect.
Yeah, the golf ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, small enough font size. Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was trying to work it out before, I was having trouble making it a half sheet, but can play around with that.
Yeah, and a check for yes or no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No write out stuff, just check yes, check no.
that'd probably be the best.
Yeah. That's helpful thought too.
No extracurricular writing.
Yeah.
And
And that way you can even get the kids in on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I think. Yeah, so I can put that together, and then we can figure out printing and reaching out to you know.
to the groups, yeah.
Yeah. Makes me wanna look back at what grants we have this year.
Do we have one that says, were you aware that this was, were you aware that this event was sponsored by the Berlin Cultural Council? Was sponsored all or in part by the,
We don't, but
I mean,
we
the first one
could.
kind of alludes to it, but it,
Yeah,
since part of the mandate is that they're supposed to say something that it was sponsored all or in part by the Berlin Cultural Council or the Massachusetts Cultural Council, that the awareness is necessary.
Maybe it would be a good idea to do that then.
So would we want to make that a second question, or would we want to redo that question to be about the event as opposed to a general knowledge about?
I think if you, I'm sorry, were you gonna say something?
I think you
I was trying to look at this first question to see how we could wiggle it around to make it say that.
If you'll,
Okay.
we could just change it to, did you know that the Berlin Cultural Council was the ones who funded this, and that it uses money from the state and town to find great requests? I learned that technique from my essay writing. You just take what the question is and you turn it into the sentence, and that's what you can honestly do here. You can just add it.
You can just switch it up.
You can just add it in. So honestly, that will not make the sentence very much longer, and it will keep it to it will be a 12 question survey.
yeah.
So honestly, that's probably the best, because that way they can answer yes or no to both of those in the same question.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think that.
Is there a way that we could combine
Any of the other questions too?
like 3, 4, and 5? Make 3, 4, and 5 kind of like what you did with number 10.
Yeah.
Just put them together. So, in the past year, have you or a member of your household attended a performance or event at the Bubble, Berlin Library, Berlin Seniors or Council on Aging, 1870 Town Hall, 19 Carter,
Yeah.
other local cultural council?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That put everything together.
Yeah.
And you can really kind of squeeze it too for that half sheet I'm going for.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
gonna use my father as another example here. I know, that little parentheses, put them all in the parentheses, they can easily circle which ones they have been to, instead of saying yes, no, yes, or no, So it's, and circle nice two circle, and then have the happiness of doing that
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
Well, number 10 just has just like a circle that you would just check the circle.
Yeah.
That's what I was going at instead of, you can do either, but that's the setup I was looking at.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. Well, we could do that with, performances. Have you, or a member of your household attended performance at, or any of the following, please circle all that apply. We could also combine no, it doesn't matter too much whether combined or not, but the under 18 and over 65 kind of retooled out to just be I'm not.
Now, was there a reason we needed the demographic? The under 18s and the over 65s? Since a lot of the programs we do are, the library programs are the under 18s,
Yeah.
and then we have the 3 programs that we do for over 65. Do you know what was the reason in the survey for this?
It possibly would be to see if there's any correlation between the events and age groups are unexpected correlations, but even if that was the case, I don't think we would have the information necessarily to draw those conclusions very well. So we could remove those questions.
Or just lay out, again, little bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that could totally be an option.
Are there members of your household, under the age of, the little guys, maybe
Yeah.
under the age of 5, and then under the age of 18, over 65?
Yeah, and I think I would remove the asking how many, because that I don't think really has much point.
Yeah. It could also be looked at because currently how it is, you talked to me a while ago when you were first inviting me, how Berlin is kind of becoming a retiring town.
Yeah.
What would be nice is to know who would potentially be setting up things, because I mean, if you have children in the house, right, they're going to grow up in this town, and there'll be more potentially people to add to these events, right? Or people who are over the age of 65. You could prepare to fund the elderly programs a little bit more if there are a lot more people over the age
Yeah.
of 65 out of nowhere, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. So
That's
yeah, we
just
could see,
my view on it.
Yeah.
But
it would give
honestly-
us an idea of where the age groups are.
Honestly, I'm more agreeing with you though. That was just a point before you stated,
Yeah.
but
No,
your
I know
ideas.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay.
Just trying to streamline it, that's all.
Yeah.
No, I
People
agree.
are more likely to do it the more concise it is.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I can streamline that.
Okay, so it's those. Question number 7 is one that, you might want to attach to something.
Well, that might be one we could also expand just a bit and give specific towns and then hit other, just so, if we had like the options of like the immediate towns adjacent to Berlin, maybe it'd be interesting to see, if people went to a lot of events in Hudson, but nobody went to events in Clinton or something like that. That might.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
was number 6. I was looking at did I say 6? I meant 7.
Okay, what I'm looking at, that's 7.
Which it could refer back to 6, but it also could refer to the ones that were
Hold-
checked off up above.
Okay, maybe, hold on, can I just look at what we're looking at? 'Cause I think.
Am I looking at the same?
Oh, yeah.
So
you-
this one really.
You're looking
really-
at the actual survey. So I pulled up email where we had discussed these, so I'm looking at probably slightly.
Okay, maybe it would be better if I brought this over the way we're looking at it.
Well,
I'm looking at it.
so I shot you an email with what we are looking
Yeah,
at.
and I clicked up above on a link
Okay.
to find the actual survey, so
Okay,
this may make more sense.
okay.
Pardon that.
So here's the actual survey. So there is where we were saying we would
Yeah.
tighten it up
Yeah.
to ask that they would know that the event was sponsored. And then here's where you would do all,
Yeah.
see how this is at the bottom?
Okay, so yeah, I think when we had to drop a question, is there any question about the school? I think that must have been the question that
I don't think there was anything about the school.
yeah, when we had to go, so the one I'm looking at has a question too that's not there. So when Jess told me we could only do 10, we had one asking about the school, and
Okay.
that must have been the one I cut because it wasn't gonna be as interesting.
So I guess now it makes all better sense.
Yeah.
What I was trying to
the
explain.
bubbles. I was a little bit confused
You're
by
like, what
that.
is she talking about?
I just meant like the parentheses.
What is that old slang for?
Oh, no.
Yeah, so here's when I was talking about, this is where you could put them together, the
Yeah.
library, the council on aging.
Yeah,
18th
and then I
Century
could put
Town
the
Hall,
school back on that
19
one.
Carter. And then this question was about attending a performance in another town, but I thought this one could jump up here after these were bubbled out, because they would have said, you know, in the past year, have they gone to any of these? And then, you know, the name of anything that they enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then go to the.
Okay,
in the
I
past
see
year.
what you mean. So it would ask about, you know, check off what of these places, and then a sub question to that
Yeah.
is.
And then there's the age groups, the questions about the age groups that I think if we really want to see who's attending the events, then we should do some, combine that
Yeah,
in this kind of form.
yeah,
Agreed.
okay. Okay, I think those are all good points. So the question would be, would we want to, you know, take this, rewrite this a bit, and meet again about it, or do we feel that we've discussed it enough that I can fix up the changes and move on without meeting to?
I personally don't mind meeting. I know that tonight was hard. But I think we'd have to come up with a plan
Okay.
also to get it to these groups. And I think that's on all of us, is to,
Okay,
just my personal opinion, but I can go either way.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm happy enough to meet again. I just didn't want to push a meeting if it wasn't gonna be too necessary. But we could do so. The copper bookmark one.
February.
Do we know when in February?
It said the 7th, I believe, if I
Okay.
read the date correctly.
Okay, so we wouldn't likely get something together before that one,
Mm-mm.
but the others are March and later.
I think the next one after that is the school one.
Yeah.
So we've got, there's Copper Bookmark. The school is in the spring. That's on the next page. That's
Okay.
in the spring. And then there were a couple more. There was the senior thing in the spring, another senior. Everybody had a date pretty much. Oh,
Okay.
Here's the third page, sorry. Oh no, they're all rejects. I have to do this because the $1,500 from the Berlin money has to pay out by June 30th in the fiscal year. And this money is calendar year.
Okay.
So once we grant it out, I have to do math and figure out.
Yeah, the Berlin money has to go for grants that are earlier than the state money.
And they have to add up.
That is interesting. Okay.
So just so I want you to learn all this.
Right, yeah.
MJ knows this because we've been doing this together.
And this is why I'm happy that she's treasurer and I'm chair, because I feel chair is easier.
So, all right.
Okay, so that's.
So,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
these are all definitely happening sooner. There's a couple more, but these were the ones that added up to the $1,500.
Yeah.
And in their letter, it specifies that their event has to be completed by June 30th. the actual event has to be completed.
Oh,
Whereas the
okay, I
letter,
gotcha.
whereas the letter that goes out so when we made all those decisions, a letter goes out to everybody. So this is Davis Bates, and it congratulates them and tells them exactly, and then all the information
Okay.
about. So
And it also sends it to the reject so they can appeal it, correct?
That one, in the system, they get sent something, so
Yeah.
they don't get so in the online system for the grants, when hit the reject, that sends them out an email. So it used to be that we would send
Yeah,
out
right,
paper, but
Yeah.
now only the approvals get paper letters.
Gotcha,
yeah, and
okay.
so since he is one of the ones that's through the funds allocated from the town, there's this paragraph that tells them what has to happen as compared to somebody who gets a grant that is MCC money. So that paragraph about Berlin money is not in this letter.
Right.
Because this is in the
Okay.
calendar year.
Okay.
So,
I've also determined that after like a dozen or 18 times signing my name, I start forgetting how to sign my name.
It's okay.
Oh, well, let's just say my signature looked better on the first set of ones than
Of course it did.
on the others. But that was a good move, sending the library their own copies of that.
I hand delivered them.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna put stamps on
Yeah,
all of those.
yeah, send was the wrong word, but it's funny too, because I had stopped by the library like next day or something. I was going to say that those were coming, and you had already
Yeah.
given them.
Yeah, I think after you signed them, I took them over. So, do you want to tentatively look at February?
Yeah, so I pulled up, if we wanted to do Thursday again, there's the 8th, there's the 15th. I think we'd probably want to do it one of those days.
Yeah, I can't do the 8th, I'll be away.
Okay.
So I'd be able to do the 15th.
Do you think you'd be free the 15th?
As long as I get a 2-week notice, which I always do.
Okay, so we'll reach out to Sandy and Jasper. Maybe we aim to meet on the 15th and give time to redo the questions and get that format and maybe make some progress on the website, hopefully.
Okay, let me know if you run into trouble with that, because I can help a little bit with it. We're going into garden applications
Okay.
in a week, so that's where I'm gonna be.
Okay. Okay, so, yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything.
I move and adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 8:45
Good.
PM.